Welcome to episode 113 of the uh Barely Alive Valley Sports Talk podcast as we struggle to find um time to record. I feel like this always happens whenever we get back to school. We just either our minds on other things like school and or we just are too busy to find time. But yeah, we are back, episode 113, about 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks since our last upload. Brandon, how have you been? I know we haven't really done much or stuff like that, but how have you been?
No, I'm good. It's tough though. I feel like our schedules don't really align this year.
No, they don't.
It's pretty bad. Plus with your work now, when we could record on weekends, you're working most weekends, so
Yeah, no
we
kidding.
do our best, but we're here. The NHL season started. We're on the day we're recording.
Yeah, you're right.
New Jersey's currently kicking Buffalo's bum.
Yep. Did you see the Markstrom save?
I've watched the whole game so far.
Yeah, it's I have not watched the game, but I've watched
Markstrom
like
looks really good. Buffalo looks like crap. New Jersey defensively is looking really good so far, and
hmm,
their offense is just kind of kicked in when it needs to, but it's
interesting.
really been the defense, which is weird for a Sheldon Keefe run team.
True. Anyways, yeah, like you said, NHL season is starting. As my mic tries to take me out, but we are at the start of week 5. How about them Falcons last night?
That was a great
I
game.
had to bring it up.
No, you definitely had to. I
Yeah,
mean, geez.
talk about Kirk Cousins finding his groove. Is KIRKO back?
KIRKO chains. I
Is
just
he?
think the Atlanta Falcons might be back. They've had all these stars for a couple years now and just haven't had a quarterback that can get them the rock.
Hmm.
And Kirk's that guy. Like he's nothing special, obviously, but he's a vet. He can sit in the pocket. He knows like how much time he's got in there. He's not rushing it. He's not worried about making a mistake. He knows like he can afford to make a couple mistakes. The spot's his, right? So it's not like he's playing for his spot. He knows it's his. And I mean 509 yards last night is insane. I mean, it was a close game the entire time. They were kind of just trading punches, those two teams. But I mean, it seems like every week right now, win or lose for the Falcons, like Kirk is running a last minute drive to
So
to tie
the
the game to
Falcons,
come back.
including the game last night, the Falcons have not been in a any game this year has from the Falcons has not either they have won or lost by more than one possession.
Yeah.
So each game has been within 8 points, win or lose. Um, and yeah, it's kind of funny. The night Matt Ryan goes into the Ring of Honor, Kirk Cousins breaks his record for most passing yards in a single game by a Falcons quarterback. Matt Ryan's had the record set at 503 from a game in 2016. And Kirko just comes in and says, "Step over, Matt. We're honoring you tonight, going to the Ring of Honor, but step over. I'm breaking your record." Another thing
Watch out,
I'd
I'm
want to
coming.
go, yeah. Another thing I want to point out is, are we seeing the breakout of Drake London?
I honestly, let me finish this, but I don't think so. I think he doesn't like, I don't think he ever needed to break out. We've always known he was good. I feel like it's just we've been waiting for a stable quarterback in Atlanta for the last couple of years. Like, I don't think Drake London is in a position where he needs to break out. I think we all know he was good to begin with, but that was a game last night, that's for sure.
So
Hopefully he
we
doesn't
know
got any donkey.
the obviously London in his third year. His draft class is probably has a decent amount of good wide receivers in it. We know he was the first one taken off, so I'm just gonna quickly go through sort of the bigger names on in his draft class, and you're gonna tell me if you'd rather have London or this guy.
Okay.
So we're gonna start. This guy's been good to start the year, but Wandale Robinson, who he's actually been surprisingly very good for
He
the
has
Jets.
been good this year. Just unfortunately, he's playing on a terrible team, so it's kind of hard to see his total production. He's kind of I don't think he's as good as London, but I think he was in a similar position where he just doesn't have a quarterback to throw him the ball.
Yeah.
But I would have London for sure.
Yeah. These three, I'll do them all together, but Alec Pierce, John Mechie the third, and Sky Moore.
Yeah, I think the last two names you haven't really seen a whole lot, right, due to injury or just lack of play or what have you. But I think Alec Pierce, obviously I'm taking Drake London, but I think Alec Pierce is a pretty good deep threat
I
for the
agree.
Colts, right?
Yeah,
and
I think Sky Moore's been a bit of a disappointment. He was
yeah,
talked to, especially being on the Chiefs.
yeah,
And then John Mechie, obviously he had cancer, so he
yeah,
lost a whole year.
yeah,
He's just sort of gotten pushed in the depth chart of the Houston Texans wide receivers since they do have three good ones.
yeah, exactly.
We'll start getting into some of the bigger names here. Jalen Tolbert of the Cowboys.
Yeah, I do like his game. I think he's going to have a bit of a step up here with Brandon Cooks being out for it seems like a couple weeks now. So we'll see if he can maybe step into that two role. But obviously you're taking London.
Yeah. Mr. Hamstring, Christian Watson.
That guy just can't stay healthy. You can tell that he has the potential to
He
be a really
does.
good wide
It
receiver, but just
sucks.
cannot stay healthy.
Um, so now we're starting to get into, I guess, one more Traylon Burks. I think that one.
Yeah, no, obviously,
So
like,
now we're getting into sort of the four. There's four wide receivers left. These are the ones where we're starting to get into the higher tier. We'll start with Jamison Williams, who finally is sort of. I think he has broken out this year on the
oh, he's
Lions.
definitely broken out. But I mean, like, it's kind of expected, right? He had his suspension, and he's been dealing with that, and we always knew he was good, but he is the perfect combination with Amon-Ra. I feel like Amon-Ra is your safe, like around the chains kind of thrower, where like Jameson's just like your deep threat
Deep
who's really,
threat,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we saw it, what was it last week there where he
He had a 70
had a
yarder.
7 game touchdown. Yeah, he and like he can just make things happen with, but I think they're a good pairing, but obviously you're taking Drake London.
Yeah. George Pickens.
George Pickens has kind of it just kind of flown under the radar just because of kind of similar situation. Just hasn't really had a quarterback like Kenny Pickett was a mess. And then obviously right now you got Justin Fields, who's more of a thrower or more of a runner, but he has kind of definitely cemented himself as the wide receiver one on the team. But I wonder what his stats would look like with Russ. He'd be a
Yeah, it'd
little
be interesting. So are you still going Drake?
100%, yeah.
So we got two guys left. These guys, I don't know who I'd rather have between the two, not Drake London, but just between these two. So I'll sort of say them together. The last two is Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, those are tough. Personally, I would rather have Garrett Wilson than Chris Olave. I don't know what's going on with Chris Olave this year. Like the Saints have thrown for a lot of passing yards.
It
Like they've
hasn't
put
been
up
to
a
him.
lot. Yeah, exactly. That's what kind of worries me. Like he's had two pretty decent years the past two, and this year like this is the best Saints offense that he's been a part of so far, and he hasn't really been the number one guy or as involved as you'd think. Um, I'm honestly probably I'm taking Drake over both these guys, but I do think Garrett Wilson is the closest guy to Drake London. I think the more games you get out of Aaron Rodgers, the better you're going to see as that chemistry grows because it's going to take time, right? Because Aaron Rodgers, we all know he's been around. He doesn't change for anybody. Like if he doesn't like you, it doesn't matter how good you are, he's not going to throw it to you. So that's going to be something that Garrett Wilson has to kind of adapt to and figure out Aaron Rodgers' pace of play, whether rather than what he's used to and people trying to figure out his pace of play
Yeah.
probably. So once he figures that out, I think they're going to get better as the season goes on. But I'm still taking Drake London personally.
Interesting. Yeah. I would agree with you, not being a Falcons fan, but I honestly thought you might take Garrett Wilson over Drake London. But other than that, um, I wouldn't have I don't disagree with you taking him over
Yeah,
all the other players.
I think Garrett Wilson has the best chance of surpassing him.
I think so too. Him and
Yeah,
I don't know, like you said, Olave is weird.
he has been very weird.
I think he's obviously on that Saints team other than Kamara. He's the best skilled guy they have. But yet we're d just seeing Derek Carr feed like Rashid and guys like that where Chris Olave, I guess not that he's not involved, but he's just not looking like the number one guy, even though I still think he is.
Yeah, I think it's because I think the Saints are trying to be a really explosive offense. And I see Chris Olave as more as an Amon-Ra St. Brown type wide receiver where he's not that explosive guy, he's more of that safety net. Where I feel like Derek Carr's never really used a safety net. Like guys like Rashid Shaheed are perfect for him. Like just explosive, like types of guys like that. And then obviously like if you need that safety blanket, they've had Alvin Kamara, who's been probably the best. he could be offensive player of the year right
Oh
now.
boy. Yeah. You could make a
Maybe
case, but
Henry.
I guess making that claim, I obviously Chris Olave isn't as good as Amon-Ra because I think probably
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Amon-Ra's top five right now, but
Yeah.
you could make the case that Olave is sort of the
Similar play
Amon-Ra
styles.
where Jamison Williams and Raheed Shaheed are
Yeah.
sort of the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good for sure. But yeah, it was a great game. Good way to start off week five. I mean, huge game for the Falcons to not let obviously it's still early season, but if you drop to 2-3 and the Bucs go to 4-1, like
Yeah. They have full
that's tough to,
control of
yeah,
that
that'd be tough to
division.
come back from. So at least they keep themselves in the picture, obviously. They're currently leading the division because obviously you have the head-to-head tiebreaker now, but so
Yeah.
that's a huge win. Hopefully the rest of the week five games can stay pretty similar to that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just looking back at like last week's games because again we didn't really record last week, but um, kind of what's going on with the New York Jets because we were kind of talking about it and just with Garrett Wilson and stuff, and thought this team would be able to score, and they are struggling to score this year. This year so far they've put up 19, 24, 24, and then 9, but the two 24s were against the Titans and the Patriots, right? So that's not like super impressive, but they put up 9 against the Broncos last week and lost to go to 2-2 in a division where like if you're 3-1, you're tied with the Bills and I mean, the Patriots and the Dolphins aren't really a concern in the division anymore. So I feel like you got to win games like that against the Broncos, who obviously we don't project are going to be very good this year. I don't know. They just can't score.
Yeah, no, for sure. Looking at their team stats right now, total yards they rank 23rd with 312. Passing yards they rank 18th with 203. So Aaron Rodgers isn't throwing for that much a game.
No,
Rushing yards they're 91.5, which is 27th. So
Brees Hall hasn't been great.
I was gonna say we've seen what's his name, Braylon Allen. Is that the backup?
He seemed like the more explosive
He
back.
seemed like he's the more explosive back. The one thing they are very good at is they have a 46.3% conversion rate on third downs, which is third in the league.
Hmm.
Um, so that's sort of, I guess, where you're seeing this team keeps drives going, I guess. But you look at their defense. Their defense total yards, they're second in the league with only giving up 279 per game, but their secondary, they're only giving up 128 passing yards to opposing quarterbacks, which is second in the league. I can't imagine who number one is, but we're seeing the secondary led by Sauce showing sort of why that they are winning games. It's I think the only reason right now, obviously looking at these stats, winning games is because of their defense.
Yeah, and they've had a pretty easy schedule. But I mean, I'm hoping it's just the fact that Aaron Rodgers is still getting used to the system and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, you got to feel bad for this defense because they've been a top five defense for the last like 4 years now, and just they're not getting any production on the other side of the ball to help them out at all. Like it's pretty tragic. But the reason I'm kind of talking about the Jets is because they are the next week five game. They play in London, obviously early game on Sunday against the undefeated Minnesota Vikings. And although I'm talking all this trash about the Jets, I think they're going to win this game.
I know we talked about it last night. You were
Yeah.
over at my place, but I think. I know I was gonna bring up Minnesota in a minute. You obviously got to them
Hmm.
eventually, but I still, like I said, I'm not convinced with this Minnesota team. Um, but at the same time, I think the Jets are gonna win, but I would not be surprised if we see like a Sam Darnold revenge game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely could. I mean, yeah, Sam Darnold obviously is coming back to the place that drafted him. He did not look good in a Jets uniform. He hasn't really looked good anywhere except for a Minnesota Vikings uniform, but that's all that matters right now. I can't chirp the NFL leader in touchdowns. So
Hmm.
we were talking about that last night, how Baker and Sam Darnold are top two in touchdowns, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
But
no, and they were both on the same team on the Panthers a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just it is cool. I do love the story, to be honest. Seeing where these two people have like come from, where especially all the hate both of them have received to kind of like it's crazy how fast it changed. Like they were both hated, and now I feel like the whole NFL community just kind of loves both of them. Like
Yeah.
Baker's energy and Sam Darnold's story, and it's just pretty cool to see. But I don't know what it is about the Minnesota Vikings. I think I'm actually sold on their offense. I think Sam Darnold can just play a safe enough game where this offense is going to be um kind of I don't think they'll run like I don't think he's going to lead the NFL in touchdowns, but I think this offense is going to be good enough to keep them in some games. In saying that, it's the defense I don't trust in. I think um they've kind of been bailed out with early easy like I don't know. Like the Houston game was super impressive. That was a big win. San Fran's been pretty injured, so not to take that away from them, but it's not a full-on San Fran team. And then like they played the Giants, which is kind of a gimme. And then Green Bay, not to throw excuses, it was Love's first game back. I think he threw three interceptions. Like
Excuses.
it just no, no,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
they look I mean, yes, you can say that's good defense, but I don't know if it's because it was his first game back and he's getting used to play again, but
Yeah.
it's the defense on the Minnesota Vikings that I'm not fully there with.
Yeah. Um, Also, sorry, getting off this sort of Minnesota, I agree. I guess I'll give my quick thoughts, but I agree with you on the offense. You know, they have obviously Justin
Mhm.
Jefferson. I still think he's a top three wide receiver, if not top one, in this league. And also a guy that I thought has been great so far has been Aaron Jones. He sort of
Very good.
looks, I guess he's sort of not in that tandem back role with AJ Dillon anymore, where he's the number one guy, and I think he's actually looked very good in that scheme. But turning to sort of a team that I think has come out of nowhere. How about the Washington Commanders?
Oh, they're so
Jaden
exciting.
Daniels looks is so fun to watch. He's so um just fun in general, but he's right now he's got a 82% completion percentage.
Yeah, I
Obviously, I
mean,
don't think it holds up that high, but talk about really setting the bar when it comes to a rookie quarterback.
yeah, I mean, he's really shown that I mean, rookie quarterbacks can come out there and just play good ball, especially like you normally see high draft picks don't play good in their first year because they're normally on pretty bad teams. And I think that's the case for Jaden Daniels. Like I did not see like I could have saw the Commanders winning 6 games all year long and they're already halfway there. Like they're playing really well right now. Their only loss was week 1 to the Bucs and they were competitive in that game too. It's again same as Minnesota. It's the defense for the Commanders that isn't very good. Um
Yeah, I was gonna mention that all their offensive ranks are in the top five. Their
yeah.
defensive ranks are in they're giving up almost 370 yards a game.
Yeah, like the least amount of points the Commanders have put up in a week is 20. I
Yeah.
mean, they put up 20, 21, 38, and 42. So they've gone up every single game. So we'll see if they can top 42 this week against the Browns. I mean, that's a pretty
They're
good
averaging
defense for this
30
league.
points a game.
The one thing I am worried about for the Commanders is, and the offense specifically, is they haven't played a good defense yet. The Buccaneers have been shown that they can get beat through the air this year. I mean, like the
Last
reason
night.
the last night, like week 1 against the Commanders, even though the Bucks won, Commanders are still able to put up points. Um, week 2 they played the Giants. Week 3 they played the Bengals. That the Bengals might be the most surprising team of the year so far. They just can't get anything
Or
going. And then
or unsurprisingly disappointing.
yeah, and then last week they played the Cards. So we're gonna see a big test here in the next 2 weeks as they play the Browns and the Ravens. And although the Browns aren't anything special, the one thing they do have is a really good defense. So I think these 2 games, these next 2 weeks against the Browns and the Ravens will be a really good test for this team, and then we can get more of a understanding of where they actually sit in the ranks of the NFL. But
Yeah, for sure.
if they can win one of those 2 games, like their next schedule is the Panthers, the Bears, the Giants, and the Steelers. Like if they go 1-1 in the next 2 weeks, this team's going to be a playoff team,
Yeah, so
especially the injuries in that division.
speaking of playoff teams, obviously we're four start of week five.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through every single playoff team currently. You're gonna
Okay.
tell me if they're gonna be there in not you don't have to say that spot. Like if, for example, if you
Yeah.
say that the Chiefs aren't gonna be leading their division, I just want you to say, are they gonna be a playoff team or not? So we'll
Cool.
start in the AFC. Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean Kansas City is going to be a lot. I will say, even it's going to sound weird because they're 4-0, but they've been a little disappointing. Like every game's been close, They haven't been able to blow a team out. Travis Kelce hasn't looked good. Now they got a big injury in
Rashee
Rashee
Rice.
Rice. So, I mean,
Mahomes
I'm
has
ex
also not looked that good. His
no,
he's got the same. He's got 9 touchdowns thrown, 9 interceptions thrown. So he's not really
I'm yeah, we'll
moving
see
the
what
ball.
happens this week because they don't have Pacheco. They don't have their number one running back. They don't have their number one wide receiver. So we'll see what this offense looks like and if they can make a trade for Devontae Adams or not.
Maybe, hopefully not. But anyways, Houston.
Houston, I think they'll be there. I do think the hype was a little bit overblown on them just because of the finish they had last year. I think expectations were put a little high on them. And even though they are 3-1, they haven't looked the cleanest this year so far, but I still think they'll be there.
The Steelers.
The Steelers are a team I'm actually going to say drops out. Some team will drop out, and I think it could be the Steelers, although their defense has been really good this year, and Justin Fields hasn't really made a whole lot of mistakes, which is key as their defense is so good, you don't have to put up many points to win, but they have had a pretty easy schedule. Their upcoming
Hey, what are you
schedule.
saying? The Falcons are easy?
Yeah, Falcons are easy. Well, I beat them. I mean, Falcons are easy in terms of it was Kirk's first game back from his injury. So, their upcoming schedule doesn't look the nicest, and I think they might start to fizzle out a little bit.
The Bills.
The Bills will be there. I will say they look better. Their offense looks better than I thought it would. Um, they did kind of just get embarrassed by the Ravens, but kind of saw that one coming as the Ravens really needed that game and Buffalo was going to lose at some point. I think this week's a huge game against the Texans, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Bills will make it. I know I had them out of the playoffs in my pre-ranking, but that could be just because I just don't like the Bills. But I think we saw the Ravens or what we thought that the Bills offense would look like coming into the year, which is what the Ravens sort of exposed. So it'll be interesting to see going forward if the Bills can go back to their 3-0 or if they teams figure them out, you know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
The Jets.
I do think the Jets stick there. I think even though we have been talking a little bit of trash about them, I think as the season goes on, they will get better. That offense just needs time to kind of click. So I think it will, but they gotta start going.
I didn't realize that they were in a playoff spot right now, but Indy.
Indy's a team I see dropping. I don't really like what I'm seeing out of Anthony Richardson so far.
I heard Joe
Um,
Flacco starting this week.
yeah, I don't know. Is Anthony Richardson injured? I'm
I don't
not
know if he's
sure.
injured or if he's literally just getting benched. I think he might be injured.
I know he was injured last week is why Flacco came in, but I don't know
You know, I
what.
saw that. I just saw the notification that Flacco's been taking all the first team reps.
Yeah, well, they do play against the Jags this week, and I do think that's a tough spot because it's in Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's too good of a team to be 0-5.
Four and
Like
five.
I think Jacksonville might find a way to win that one. But yeah, I think the Colts drop.
And then the final team in the AFC is the Ravens.
Yeah, I think if the Steelers are dropping, I think Baltimore will take that spot. Even though they're in a wild card, I think Baltimore's going to take that division. Obviously, just like a weird start. Every team loses a game like that, like against the Raiders, I'm talking about. So they got it out of the way early. Now they can just start building. They have two big wins against the Cowboys and the Bills, and I think they're just going to kind of start accelerating from there. So I
Yeah,
think
no, I
I think
totally agree.
Baltimore's dangerous.
So moving into the NFC, obviously we talked about them 4-0. The Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings, I think 4-0. Honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but I think 4-0 is already they're too far ahead to not make the playoffs. You basically got to go 500 to make, well, I guess 9-8 to make the playoffs, and I mean they're gonna win five more games, I would assume. So I still think they stay in. I don't think they win the division, but I think they stay in.
All right, interesting. Commanders.
The Commanders, I do think they make the playoffs. I
I'd love to
think
see it.
I do think they drop a little bit, but I think this division's just so hurt. I don't know what's going on with the Cowboys right now. The Eagles are very beat up, so I mean it depends on when they start getting healthy again. Like the offense looks so different when you don't have your top two wide receivers out there. So did I say the Falcons?
No,
No, I said the Eagles. Okay,
you said
good.
the Eagles. You're good.
Something in my head said I said Falcons. So I think the Commanders could make playoffs simply alone on winning the division.
Interesting. Another team that I didn't realize was 3-1, Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle's a team. I think I think they make it. Oh, Seattle's tough. Seattle's tough. I'm gonna say Seattle makes it just based off that offense. That offense does look really good this year. Um, it kind of goes the way like the very first year Gino was around, the offense looked really good. Last year it looked terrible. This year it looks good again. So maybe he's just a year type of guy, but it does look good this year, and I think the offense alone will get him enough wins to stay in.
Hmm. The Falcons.
The Falcons, I think the Falcons make the playoffs simply. I just think they're going to win the division. Obviously, that was a huge game last night against. I think like I'm not a huge Saints believer, so I think that was a huge win against the second best team in the division. So, just having that over top of them in case of a tiebreaker or anything like that. And I think as the season goes, the Falcons get better, just with Kirk starting to feel a little bit better and
Yeah,
stuff.
also you obviously take this sort of thing I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but Falcons have the easiest schedule in the NFL based off winning percentage remaining. But
Hmm.
obviously, like I said, you still got to win those games.
Yeah.
Moving on to the wild card teams. First, we have the Lions.
Yeah, I think the Lions are the team that's going to take the NFC North over the Vikings. So I do think the Lions get in. I think that was a huge win last week. Obviously, that defense would like to not put up allow that many points against, but the offense looked really good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
The Buccaneers.
the Buccaneers are going to have drop. I think as much as I love the story, I think Baker's like a huge momentum guy, and I think he's just kind of going off the hype of kind of the start of the season. But they do have weird games. Like they only scored 7 points against the Broncos. They just lost to the Falcons. They have a really hard schedule coming up. Their next five games are Saints, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, 49ers. Like that's a brutal schedule. And like I said, Baker's like a real emotional guy. And if they start losing, I feel like he could
Check out
kind of
almost.
spiral. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they scare me.
And
The
then
next five
there
games is huge
is,
for them.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Very good.
One, two. There is six teams at 2-2 in the NFC, but the
Yeah.
team that is holding on to the last wild card spot is currently the Chicago Bears.
The Bears, yeah, they're gonna drop too. I just don't like this offense. I honestly thought this offense was gonna be a lot better with Caleb Williams, but it has not been great. Um, they just haven't been able to put up many points, and I feel like their defense is good, but not as good as previous years. And I think just a full NFL season will kind of get long for Caleb Williams, and I think they drop. The two teams I think that take the spot are I think the 49ers are going to obviously make playoffs. I think they're going to come back. They were a little hurt to start the season, but I mean, they look good enough with Mason and when the wide receivers come back, and then once CMC comes back, and hopefully in the latter half of the year, he can start to lift that team. And then it is biased, but I do think the Packers get in there. I think they're too good to not. Um, like, I mean, Jordan Love's 0-2 so far, but they've played some really hard teams. Their schedule coming up is pretty soft, so I think they do get some wins. And just to go back over to the AFC, because I didn't say who gets in, I had two teams in drop. I think the Chargers get in. Um, I just think the Chargers are. I think the Chargers are. Their offense is good enough this year where they kind of just run the ball and it's kind of slow paced, and the defense can just kind of hold on. And actually, after starting 0-3, I'm going to say the Bengals miraculously find a way to get in, although they have been a little disappointing. Um, there's no other team that's good enough to get in. So I don't know. I feel like they figure it out.
It'll be
That's
their game this week will be a big one as they play the Ravens again.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be a big game. And I mean, if if they win that, like you got that division's wide open where you got a bunch of 2 and 3 teams and then the Steelers. So I think it's a big game for both.
Hmm.
You got any disagreements?
No, I don't. Like I said last night, I wouldn't like this is probably a hot take, but I would not be shocked if the Vikings fall out of the playoffs completely. I know you said they have to win 5 games, but I don't know, just one of those feelings.
That would be an ultimate fall, like
Yeah,
to
for sure.
not
I
make the
also
playoffs.
would not be shocked if the Jets fall just because I'm not very confident in that team. Especially if their offense doesn't pick up. I don't think their I think their defense is good, but I don't think it can sort of carry them the way it has been so far.
No, that's a good point.
So if
Yeah.
that offense doesn't pick up, I could see the Jets dropping.
Hmm.
Another team I could see going in, is a team like I think if Denver can play like what they did, or like I don't know, Denver's like a sneaky one, just because I feel like Bo Nix has been better than people have been giving him the credit. But they're also looking at the AFC. There's not many more teams in there that I could see taking any of those spots just based off the fact that two is dead, um,
To
things
Bo
like that.
Nix's credit, I guess, like he's looked terrible 2 weeks, and they were against really good defenses. He put up 6 points against the Steelers, which is tough, and then he put up 10 against the Jets. I mean, they won, so it doesn't matter. But the 2 weeks they haven't played good defenses, he put up 20 against the Seahawks and 26 against the Buccaneers. So you make a good point. He has been better than people give him credit for. He's just when he's played good defenses, he's been exposed. So I mean,
They also have a decent schedule coming up as they go Raiders, Chargers. The Chargers will be a hard one. Then they go Saints, Panthers. So like those are all four of those games I feel like for the Broncos are winnable.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you get a
Then
couple.
they go Ravens, Chiefs, Falcons. So they're gonna lose three there, but then yeah, poor Broncos. It sucks that they play the Chargers and Chiefs twice.
Yeah, that's your division, right?
That's how divisions work. But yeah, I agree with your AFC predictions. I think I was actually I could see one of either the Cowboys or Eagles figuring it out. I just think they're too good of teams not to.
No, that's a good point. I just am never gonna put my faith in the Cowboys,
No, I
and
don't either. But
no, and I don't know how long the wide receivers are out for in Philly. And as long as they're out, I can't trust them to win a game because they look terrible without them.
you know, like John, it's not John Dotson season over there.
No, I mean when you're getting blown out by the Buccaneers like 33-16,
Yeah,
it's not a great look.
fair point. I think we'll wrap it up there. I don't know if you have anything else to mention.
Just that Clayton Keller's the new captain of the Utah Hockey Club.
No, you're right.
Whatever.
I forgot to mention that first ever in franchise
Yeah.
history, considering that they're the first team.
So good for him, but other than that, no.
We will hope to get one out
NHL's
next
back.
week. Hopefully we're back. Brandon's home next week for his teacher's college placement. I will be
Yep.
heading home for my reading week because I'm still in undergrad. So maybe we might have time because I have most of my stuff was due this week, so I might have time to find a spot next week. And you're at home, so you should be okay in the evenings, right?
Yep.
All
Just be
right. So
golfing. That's it.
if we don't get one out, I guess we don't get one out. But if you guys enjoyed,
Flames.
make sure you leave a like and subscribe to never miss a weekly podcast, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
See you.